Good morning, garden friends. Today I am going to be planting a heirloom rose called Easy Spirit in honor of our daughter. As you guys know, my garden is filled with roses, and that is mainly the reason why. I'm also going to be working in zone 4 flower bed maintenance, because as I stated, working a full-time job, in order for me to stay on top of my garden area, I have to do it in zones. But we're gonna go ahead and get this guy planted, or this girl, and then that way I'll be able to get it positioned where I want it to be. The one thing that they say about the heirloom roses is not to use soil with granulars in it for the first year, because the granulars can retain heat, and we know here in Georgia it gets hot. In order for it to be successful, they stated to just use potting soil and then a fish fertilizer, liquid fertilizer for the first year. So let's go ahead and get this planted, and then that way I can get it positioned where I want to. Okay, so you only want to fill the pot up to where you at least have 6 inches from the top, and then that way you can make your little well in the center to place it. And look at this, guys. It's so healthy. You know, I just love it when I order online and you end up getting quality products, you know. So this is beautiful. I will post a photo of what the rose will look like when it's in bloom. And this plant also can do well within a pot. That was part of the reason why I ended up choosing it. So let's go ahead and get this out. Oh, and get some really nice healthy roots on this guy. And then backfill it. And then the one thing that they did mention when potting the rose up is backfill it, and not all the way up to the top of the rim, so that way when you water it, you don't have stuff, you know, spilling out of it. So go ahead and finish topping this off. So it's nice and centered. And then the one thing they said too, because I believe the size this gets is 3 feet tall and wide, to make sure that your pot is 2 feet by 2 feet. And I think this pot is actually more than that. I think I need to put just a little bit more soil on here. Nice scoop. Okay, that's better. All right. Nice and filled up nicely so the rose can be successful. I'm going to water it, and the one thing that they had stated, use a hose that has the shower. Don't shower the rose leaves. Keep it down at the base. Let the potting soil to get acclimated to absorbing the water. This container does have 3 drain holes, so I'm not worried about it getting soggy feet, because roses don't like soggy feet. And then he had mentioned about placing mint, I think it's mint fertilizer. I'll put the link on the installation, or how he walked through planting the rose bush in the pot to give it a nice topping, and also stated that the mint keeps like the bugs away. I don't have any of it, but I am going to see if I can find some, because if it helps keep like the aphids and the beetles and all that kind of stuff away from it because of the scent, I'm willing, to make that investment. All right, so like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and get this watered, and not going to put it in the direct sun, even though it can handle sun. Probably about a week. I'm gonna keep it in an area that gets 3 to 4 hours of sun, because it does say it needs at least 6 hours. But I just find that when I put things in pots to sort of ease them in to the direct Georgia sun, ends up allowing them to be more successful. Okay, so this is done. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get it watered and to put it in a wheelbarrow to come out of the shed, because this thing is heavy, and I know once I put the water on it, it's going to be even heavier. Okay, and as you water it, allow it to soak down and the soil to get acclimated. It's draining nicely. And then the one thing he did mention, in like maybe a couple days, to come and fertilize it with the fish fertilizer, which I have some, I think it's fish and seaweed fertilizer. Just waiting to see if the water is coming out through the bottom, just to make sure this is nicely wet. Like I said, this is a pretty big pot. It's bigger than the 2 foot tall, 2 foot wide. Might be like 2.5 foot. That's still nothing. That's odd. But I just want to make sure I get this nice and saturated. Like I said, I'm going to place it to where it's just going to get the morning sun, and gradually graduate it to the full sun area that I'm going to put it in. Ah, there it is. All right. Okay, so the water is draining out of here. I'm going to move it over to the area over by our hot tub, because it does just get that morning sun, and then the shade ends up coming through. And then, like I said, probably this weekend I will place this in the area that will be its permanent spot. Okay, I had to go and change. It is only 7:45 in the morning, and it's already nice and warm. I'm gonna go over and get zone 4 cleaned up. I have some plants that I want to get planted over there, so I can hurry up and get this knocked out before the true heat ends up hitting us. So come along with me. Okay, this is the start of zone 4. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my Sprea deadheaded, the rose bush trimmed down, because my hydrangeas are doing beautiful. My other Sprea, looks like my orientals, getting ready to bust open. Deadhead my bachelor buttons. It looks like I need to plant something new there. It just got too hot. And then we had already trimmed up the forsythia, but then I'm gonna come back here and get these plants planted, the blades for the irises cleaned up, trim some of the flowers from my mini mauvettes, because I will get another flush, but I'm not going to remove them all because I like those colors. Do a little deadheading on the rose bush here. The same thing with my yarrow. Get that cleaned up. Just clean up these roses. Got some few weeds in here that I'm going to get pulled out. Let's see here. Oh, and then I'm going to stake my gladdies back here. Now, I was going to trim my boxwoods, but with the heat, I'm just going to let them stay fluffy until it cools off. So that is what I'm going to be doing in this area today. All right, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and get all the spent heads off of the irises and clean up the dyed back leaves. Okay, so I got the spent heads off of the irises and cleaned up all the brown stalks of the iris, and it just looks so much cleaner, you know. So now what I'm gonna do is line up the plants that I'm gonna be putting in this area, because I want to get these guys in the ground before the sun gets to blaring over here, because right now I have the umbrella. Okay, so this is how I'm gonna lay these guys out. And like I said, it goes from the tallest to the middle to the shortest. So the pink one, the Sweet Summer Queen Phlox, full sun. This will get 24 to 32 high, 18 to 24 wide, and blooms in the summer. The next one, the infamous white phlox, and that one gets 12 to 18 high and wide. And then the next one is the Snow Lady Shasta daisies, and those guys get 10 to 12 inches high, 8 inches wide. So I think that is going to end up looking very nicely in this area. Get it filled in, and then I made sure I wasn't too close to the new Crepe Myrtle bush that we just planted. And then I did cut back my spring bulb, so I'm gonna probably try to find something not real deep roots. And then I'm also going to be filling in the window boxes with some new plants, and maybe something that is a little more drought tolerant, because my petunias and my alyssums, you know, were drying out. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get these guys in the ground. Like I said before, the crust of the heat is over here. I'm gonna go ahead and, some of these guys had the leaves that got a little scorch. Get those out. I'm gonna add some topsoil. get the roots a little agitated. Sometimes this thing can be more of a pain than a benefit. I'll go back to the shovel. Now I'll put some topsoil in that, because that was extremely dry. And even though this soil is good, I just want that extra. And the final one. Okay, so the plants are all planted and fed. I'm going to go ahead and put some mulch down on it, and then the last thing I need to do is get the plants in the flower box. And then zone 4 will be done. And then I'll just do a walkthrough so you can see that it is all nice and clean and organized. Thank you again for visiting Inspiring Garden Corner. If you found the information informative and you liked, please consider subscribing and sharing.